Good morning, everyone. You're listening to Caregiver Crossing. This is a podcast brought to you by the good folks at Joy's House, of which I am one. So I'm, a little biased. I love Joy's House and love Caregiver Crossing. So if you are new here, we need you to know that this is a podcast created just for you, the caregiver. I'm Tina McIntosh
of Joy's House. And I'm her friend, Terry Stacy. And we're here every week. And we bring you experts from around the country to provide comfort and resources and just a ton of joy to all of you, our caregivers. This podcast, as Tina mentioned, it really serves to embrace the family caregivers of today, but also of tomorrow. So thank you so much for being here. Tina, take it away.
All right. So if anybody knows Terry Lynn Stacy, you know that she is a pet lover, an animal lover. And we've talked so many times on Caregiver Crossing, and we know how much pets enrich our lives. We know the benefits that come from having a pet in our life when we are aging or living with some kind of a diagnosis. But what we've not discussed here is how frequently senior pet owners choose feeding their pet over feeding or caring for themselves. And I want you to think about that. Choose feeding their pet over caring or feeding themselves. And fortunately, there is a response in motion. This, a couple of months ago, CICOA launched a pilot program offering pet food and supplies to low-income and homebound seniors. And here to discuss this program, if you know him, you love him, we have Tauhric Brown, President and CEO of CICOA Aging and In-Home Solutions. Tauhric, my friend, I'm so glad you're here.
Hi, Tina. It is great to be here with both of you. Always a pleasure to take part in something that our partners at Joy's House is doing. And this program is just, it's awesome, right? I own a couple pets myself, and I know that is a decision that many of our older Hoosiers deal with on a day-to-day basis. And it's just sad. And so if we can creatively respond by doing something about that, we're happy to do so.
Excuse me, Tauhric and I spoke about this earlier, and really it did bring to light this problem. I'm not even sure it's a problem. And it was heartbreaking to hear, but you think about it, and some of our senior citizens that are still living independently, that is their best friend. It's maybe all that dog, that cat, maybe the only thing that they have. And for you all to come up with this program, you obviously knew, and it kind of take us through it. You knew that this was something brought to your attention that there was a need for help. And so tell us about how this got started.
So actually how it got started is it's a concept I brought with me from my prior employer in Michigan. I worked for a senior and disabled service provider there in Michigan who was the benefactor of a Meals on Wheels of America grant for pet food. And so when I arrived here at CICOA, it was one of the things that myself and our development team talked about. How do we position ourselves to be in a position to go after this kind of grant? Because trust me, if it exists there, it certainly is an issue that exists here. The first thing that we began doing was doing some surveys. Part of our customer satisfaction surveys with our clients to really determine how big of a challenge is this. And of course, we found out that it's a challenge and an issue that many of our older Hoosiers are dealing with. That they have to make a decision to fill their prescription for the month or feed their pet, or to feed themselves or feed their pet, just told us we've got to get involved. And so we submitted a grant to Meals on Wheels of America. We were successful in receiving that initial seed funding of $7,500. And with that, we're really looking to help 100 of our older Hoosiers so that they don't have to make that decision, Terry and Tina, right? We don't want them to be making that decision. But the goal is that we want to expand our reach into other communities, other counties. But right now it is for our Title III home delivered meal clients. The goal, or I call it my moonshot, is to be able to expand it to cover all 8 of our counties in central Indiana. and to be able to allow all of our older Hoosiers to go, I've got my pet food taken care of. Now all I've got to do is go to the pharmacy and pick up my prescription or cook me a little dinner to have this evening.
I cannot imagine. I am also a pet lover, and I cannot imagine the day when I would have to sit down and make that decision between one of my dogs or my cats or, another animal and my family. And so, Tauhric, have you had experience either in Michigan with the program that you had there or the pilot program that we're in here currently? Have you had any personal experience or heard from the families on the difference that it's made for them?
Absolutely. In Michigan, there were a ton of interactions that I had with adult children of, clients that we serviced. And they talked about, gosh, without this resource, it would be really difficult for mom to get her insulin this month, right? Because as we know, insulin is one of those higher expenditures for our seniors. And so, it was, why would we ever want anyone to have to make that kind of choice? Here in Indianapolis in the pilot, I've got to spend a couple times with Alan, who's one of our clients who's part of this program. And Alan and his cat, Princess. Princess is the cutest little thing, very shy, right? Didn't come out a whole lot when 3 or 4 of us were there with him. But, Alan said something that was it was gut-wrenching. He said, Tauhric, if I had 48 cents in my pocket and that's all I had, I would be more concerned about feeding Princess than I do about myself. This is something that is in the heads of our older adults more than we might think. And so we've got to be willing to make sure that we have enough resource to be able to expand this and keep this going for as long as possible.
Tauhric Brown is with us, the president and CEO of CICOA, Aging and In-Home Solutions. We're talking about this pilot program supplying pet food and also supplies, which maybe we need to hit on too, to low-income and homebound seniors. And we also want to know, Tauhric, because we can help in this program too, right?
Absolutely can. Obviously the immediate one that people think of is making a gift to CICOA, right? And that can be done simply by going to our website, www.cicoa.org, and selecting the donate button. And then from a drop-down menu, you can select Pet Connect program and make your donation that way. But you mentioned, Terry, the supply piece to this. So yes, it is more than food. We have a great document. We're calling it the Indie Pet Resource Flyer, and it has low cost or discounted types of services that are available to pets. And so we would absolutely be in a position to help with those kinds of scenarios for our older adults as well. For our kitty cats, we also, not just food, litter is one of those supplies. Litter box is another supply. So as you're thinking about, gosh, what else might my dog or my cat want? There could be an opportunity for chew toys for our doggies and things like that. And so we always want to talk about the entire thing. It's not just food, it's pet supplies as well. And we've got some resources available to help get our seniors, pets, furry companions, as we like to call them, the type of medical care, veterinarian care that they need at a discounted rate. And we're fortunate to have a nice list of resources to help us accomplish that for them.
I love it. We've reported before in Caregiver Crossing about how having an animal in your life, petting a dog, how it slows down your heart rate and is calming. And, it is more than, it's really family, and it is individualism and love and caring for someone else makes such a difference. And so Tauhric, I'm so grateful that you brought this program to Indiana and for what you're doing. And I want to truly say thank you for the work you're doing at CICOA at large and also with this Pet Connect program because it's just fantastic. Is there anything we've missed that you want us to touch on before we have to close?
No, I would just say I'm always, so grateful to have a platform to talk about these very important things for the populations we serve. Tina, you and I know better than any, right? That, our older adults, we are the voices that have to continue to advocate, keep them top of mind for everyone out there, right? Because we don't want them to be forgotten. So I would say my call to action, Central Indiana, get involved in the Pet Connect program, make your donations, help us continue to expand this outside of just our home delivered meal clients, because we know that it is far more wide spreading and more rampant than you might think.
When can we have you back? Because I know this pilot program has to have a close date, and then you'll be making decisions for the future. So what is that close date for the program?
Yeah, so I would love to come back probably, I'd say right before fall. We'll be kind of closing down and looking at what kinds of impacts we've made around that August timeframe. We would be going back to Meals on Wheels of America because it is an ongoing where you can continue annually to get that. But what they may say is you've got to have that match requirement. And so if we go after 7,500, we'll want to make sure that we can match that 7,500 from the great philanthropic support that we continue to receive from our Central Indiana residents.
Yeah, and I want listeners to understand that too, that $7,500 sounds like a lot of money. It goes really fast. And so right now, CICOA and Tauhric and his team are making sure we can help 100 people through that. We want to keep that going. And so it would be really important, again, that you go to CICOA.org, you go to donate, and you pick Pet Connect. And whether you can give $5 or $5,000 or $50,000, wherever that decimal hits in your bank account, they need your support with this to keep this going and to help more Hoosier families. And so, Tauhric, we will have you back most definitely in the fall to talk about where we are with things and how we keep it going. For now, you have our gratitude, you have our support, and thank you for being with us here today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, everybody else, you can email me at any time. You need connection, you need some help and somebody to walk this journey with you for caregiving. Joy's House is on the brink of doing some really, really big things, and it is wonderfully exciting, and the opportunity to be able to continue to serve you, not just with Caregiver Crossing, but our other caregiver support services that we're launching. We're really happy about that. And we want to hear from you. What is it that you need? What is it you want to hear and learn about on this show too? So you can email me anytime at tina@joyshouse.org, or you can call me at Joy's House. So until then, we'll be back next week. Terry Stacy will be here as always, the lovely Terry Stacy. And so we want you to have a good week and take care of each other. Until next week. Caregiver Crossing is supported by AARP. They are leading a revolution in the way people view and live life after 50. We love that they're working to empower people to choose life how they want as they age. Until next time, take good care of each other.